Affordable housing. Affordable housing, a foundation for equitable urban development. Affordable housing, defined by housing costs not exceeding 30% of household income, is both a human rights obligation and a strategic policy tool to combat urban inequality, rising living costs, and spatial segregation. By serving low and middle-income groups, it enhances well-being, fosters social cohesion, and supports economic inclusion through poverty reduction and job creation. Despite growing demand driven by urbanization and income disparities, supply remains constrained by high land costs, limited financing, and regulatory complexities. In response, global policy frameworks integrate public investment, market incentives, rent subsidies, and mandatory inclusionary zoning to balance state and market roles. Beyond shelter provision, affordable housing advances sustainable urbanization by mitigating intergenerational housing poverty, supporting compact city design, and promoting green building standards. Functioning as institutional infrastructure, it redefines the housing supply model and underpins a more inclusive, resilient, and equitable urban future. SDG 11. As a core pillar of the UN 2030 Agenda, Sustainable Development Goal 11 seeks to create inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable urban environments. In response to accelerating urbanization and structural inequalities, SDG 11 promotes integrated urban governance to correct resource imbalances, mitigate environmental degradation, and enhance disaster resilience, with the overarching aim of building equitable and livable cities for all. Central to this vision is the provision of inclusive housing and essential services, particularly through the upgrading of informal settlements and limiting urban sprawl. Equally important is the development of low-carbon, accessible transport systems that prioritize disadvantaged populations and support the transition to clean energy. The goal emphasizes participatory governance, encouraging collaboration between governments, civil society, and the private sector to ensure transparent, inclusive urban planning that respects cultural heritage, advances gender equity, and integrates universal design principles. Sustainable land use and biodiversity conservation are embedded within urban expansion strategies to safeguard ecological integrity. Disaster resilience is addressed through multi-hazard early warning systems, climate-adaptive infrastructure, and emergency planning tailored to vulnerable groups. Environmental sustainability is advanced through smart air quality monitoring, circular economy practices, and innovative pollution control measures. SDG 11 also advocates for inclusive public spaces, green corridors, and community hubs that foster intergenerational and cross-sector social integration. It promotes urban-rural connectivity by leveraging digital infrastructure to extend public services, decentralize opportunity, and support balanced regional development. At the systemic level, climate resilience is achieved through adaptive urban planning, supported by technologies like sponge cities and distributed energy systems. Globally, SDG 11 calls for technology transfer, capacity building, and international cooperation to assist least developed countries in building sustainable and disaster-resilient urban systems. Ultimately, SDG 11 redefines the relationship between urban growth, human well-being, and ecological limits, offering a transformative framework to build future cities that are socially just, environmentally regenerative, and structurally resilient. Factors influencing housing choices in Malaysia. Choosing a home is one of the most important decisions in life, shaped by a mix of personal circumstances, financial capacity, lifestyle goals, and the evolving property landscape. In Malaysia, these influences can be grouped into four main categories: personal factors, economic considerations, location attributes, and physical characteristics. 1. Personal factors, life stages, and cultural norms. Housing preferences often reflect life stages. Young professionals tend to favor rental units in urban areas for convenience and access to work and social life. Co-living spaces and youth-focused housing schemes cater to this group. Families with children prioritize safety, proximity to schools, and community-friendly designs. Gated communities and housing developments with parks and pedestrian zones are especially attractive to them. Layouts with flexible spaces, like additional rooms for work or extended family, are also in demand. Retirees focus more on comfort, accessibility, and healthcare access. Retirement communities with senior-friendly features, such as step-free access and emergency systems, are becoming more popular. Culturally, multi-generational living continues to shape housing demand. Many households need flexible floor plans to accommodate extended family members, which has driven innovation in affordable housing designs. 2. Economic considerations, affordability, and policy support. Affordability remains a major challenge, particularly in urban areas like Kuala Lumpur, where median home prices far exceed recommended income benchmarks. Lower-income groups, such as the B40, often depend on government-subsidized housing, though limited financing access remains an obstacle. In response, new financial models such as rent-to-own are gaining traction. Government initiatives, like the Malaysia Madani Plan, aim to boost affordable housing supply, though progress has been slow. Foreign investment also shapes the market. Different minimum purchase price thresholds across states influence where foreign buyers invest, with areas like Johor's Iskandar region seeing high levels of international interest. 3. Location, accessibility, risk, and growth potential. Location is a critical factor in housing decisions. Central urban areas remain attractive but expensive. However, infrastructure developments such as new MRT lines are creating demand in surrounding zones, encouraging transit-oriented living. At the same time, environmental concerns, especially flood risks, are starting to influence buyer behavior. Homes with flood mitigation systems and in safer areas are increasingly preferred. Post-pandemic trends have also made secondary cities more appealing. Places like Cyberjaya are growing rapidly due to improved digital infrastructure and the rise of remote work, offering a lower-density alternative to city life. 4. Physical characteristics, features that fit modern needs. The physical design of properties plays a key role. Young buyers often choose high-rise condominiums with shared facilities like gyms, pools, and security systems, while families typically go for landed properties with more space. Sustainability is becoming a priority. Green-certified buildings, such as GI-rated, are selling faster and at higher values. Eco-friendly features like rainwater harvesting and energy-efficient designs are increasingly seen as essentials rather than bonuses. Cultural preferences also influence layouts and features, with developers responding by including options like prayer spaces and unit orientations that align with traditional beliefs. Despite the Malaysian government's efforts to provide affordable housing, several challenges persist in realizing the right to housing for all. Firstly, shortage of affordable housing. In urban centers like Kuala Lumpur and Penang, there is a severe shortage of affordable housing for the B40 and M40 income groups. For instance, although Penang has a target of 220,000 affordable units by 2030, only 23% of these units have been completed so far. Additionally, the federal government allocated Rm 21.175 million in 2024 for housing repairs, highlighting not only a supply issue but also the challenge of maintaining aging housing stock. Secondly, property speculation. The rise in property speculation, especially with foreign investors buying properties for resale or rent, has driven up housing prices. Despite policies like minimum price thresholds for foreign buyers, speculation remains prevalent, especially in areas like Penang. This situation makes it harder for local residents, especially low-income families, to purchase homes. Thirdly, poor construction quality. Many affordable housing projects suffer from low construction quality, including inadequate space, lack of community facilities, and insufficient parking. These issues violate urban construction standards and the goals of creating safe and livable environments. As noted in the Kuala Lumpur Structure Plan 2020, poor materials and high maintenance costs are common concerns. Fourthly, loan approval challenges. Many B40 households face difficulties in securing mortgages due to a lack of fixed pay slips, low credit scores, or poor credit histories. Even with the ability to repay, stringent loan approval criteria often prevent them from obtaining loans, exacerbating the affordability issue. Lastly, information gap. Affordable housing programs are often located in remote areas, where transportation, infrastructure, and digital access are limited. This hinders low-income households from using online application platforms like PR1MA or rent-to-own systems due to poor internet connectivity and limited digital literacy, further widening the gap in housing access. These challenges highlight the need for more comprehensive and inclusive solutions in addressing the affordable housing crisis in Malaysia. Cities are at the heart of human ambition and progress. But behind the glittering skyline, a silent crisis is growing. Millions are priced out of safe and decent housing. As urban populations soar, the gap between housing supply and affordability widens. This challenge directly impacts Sustainable Development Goal 11, making cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So, how do we bridge the divide between homes and hope? 1. Strengthening housing policies. The first step is clear and strong housing policies. Governments must prioritize affordable housing in city planning. One proven approach is inclusionary zoning, where developers are required to set aside a portion of new housing units as affordable. Additionally, offering financial incentives like tax breaks, low-interest loans, or rental subsidies can motivate developers and support low-income families. With smart policies and firm commitment, cities can make housing both a right and a reality. 2. Optimizing land use and urban renewal. Land is a precious resource, and often it's underused. Abandoned lots, derelict factories, and unused spaces can be transformed into vibrant, affordable neighborhoods. Urban renewal isn't just about buildings, it's about creating mixed-use spaces where people can live, work, and thrive. This approach prevents urban sprawl, revitalizes old districts, and brings affordable housing closer to city centers. That's sustainable development in action. 3. Promoting green and sustainable building. Affordable housing should be cost-effective, but it can also be green. By incorporating sustainable technologies like energy-efficient insulation, solar panels, and water-saving systems, we reduce environmental impact and cut utility costs for residents. Governments and developers can adopt standards like LEED certification to ensure eco-friendly design. Sustainable homes build sustainable futures for people and the planet. 4. Integrating housing with public transport. Location matters. Affordable housing located far from city centers increases transportation costs and limits access to opportunities. That's why transit-oriented development, or TOD, is key. By building housing near public transport hubs, cities connect residents to jobs, schools, and healthcare more efficiently. TOD reduces traffic congestion, lowers emissions, and makes urban life more sustainable and inclusive. 5. Encouraging community participation. Housing isn't just infrastructure, it's about people. When communities help design and shape their own neighborhoods, the results are more inclusive and culturally sensitive. Through tools like participatory budgeting, community-led projects, and local consultations, residents gain ownership and pride in their spaces. Empowered communities are resilient communities. Their voices turn housing projects into homes. 6. Affordable housing requires sustainable funding. While government support is crucial, cities must explore innovative financing models. Social impact bonds, public-private partnerships, and housing trust funds are powerful tools. They leverage private investment for public good. For example, with social impact bonds, private investors fund housing solutions and receive returns based on measurable outcomes. With the right mechanisms, financing becomes a bridge, not a barrier, to inclusive development.
Okay. So now everyone, let's move to another part. So this part is now let's discuss the factors that influence the process of renting a house in Malaysia. So why the Malaysia the renting changed? So can we discuss the first person?
I think I have a more interesting about the factors influencing house interest in Malaysia. This topic, maybe I can raise some question from different perspective and then provide an answer. Such as I can give some question because the first one maybe it's about the personal factors. I can give some example, such as how housing needs vary by life stage. Student or some new married and some family with children, this is a different choice. And maybe the second, we can choose the economy considerations. We can discuss about the housing price to income ratio, like how many years income need to buy the home at Kuala Lumpur, and maybe another question. I have no idea right now. Maybe we can discuss later. That's all.
Okay, thank you. What about another?
I think the factors influencing housing primarily include economic income, government policies, population structure. These factors collectively determine housing supply, pricing, and living quality. That's all.
Okay. What else? Another?
I think factors influencing housing related to the climate, the environment, such as climate and natural disasters and environmental regulations, or access to green spaces and amenities. That's my point. That's all.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you. The last one?
From my perspective, I think location is a very important factor. I think high price in city centers, better transport, and safety from floods, and changes in lifestyle are all changing what people see as a good place to live. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, so let's have a further discuss. That's all.
好的。